the delivery systems. These models help us to find the best solution if we change the type of cargo or the amount of it.
Таким образом, бизнес-заказчик может увидеть в режиме реального времени, как может выглядеть его склад при тех или иных изменениях.
So the client can see how their facilities would look like if we do some changes.
Что существенно снижает риски принятия неправильных решений и в целом повышает бизнес-эффективность складского комплекса.
This helps to eliminate some unnecessary risks and in general dramatically increases the business efficiency of the project.
Кроме того, с помощью инновационного моделирования мы можем тестировать применение самых различных инновационных складских технологий и оценивать, как они повлияют на бизнес-процесс складского хозяйства и ключевые показатели эффективности склада.
Also, this technology helps to develop some new initiatives and see how they will affect the business processes.
Так, например, вы можете увидеть модель работы цифрового склада компании «Газпромнефть».
Now you can see the model of how the warehouse, digital warehouse of Газпромнефть works.
Как вы видите, здесь моделируется использование роботизированной техники.
As you can see, this model also involves some robotics.
И модель нам позволяет в точности определить не только необходимое количество этой техники, но и понять, какие процессы выгоднее всего автоматизировать.
This model not only helps to estimate how many machines you need, but also indicates which processes should be automated.
Сейчас на слайде вы видите изображение в 2D формате того же склада.
Now you can see the same warehouse in 2D format.
Основным нашим преимуществом является то, что мы не только создаем концепции и модели работы складских или транспортных систем.
Our main advantage is not only that we create concepts and models of warehouse systems.
В том, что мы позже воплощаем эти модели в жизнь и можем на реальных бизнес-результатах проверить эффективность работы цифрового двойника.
But also we bring these models in life and we can estimate the effectivity of these digital twins for business results.
И далее я хотел в заключение показать видео, которое продемонстрирует, как вот эта 3D-модель склада воплотилась в реальность, как это сейчас выглядит и как реально работает наш цифровой склад.
In conclusion, I would like to show you a video of how this 3D model was brought to life and how it works now.
Коллеги, у меня все. Буду рад ответить на ваши вопросы.
That's all I have to tell you. I will be glad to answer your questions.
Igor, thank you a lot for your presentation. So there's a few questions in our chat. The first one. Насколько полно применимые в вашей компании цифровые двойники отражают реальные бизнес-процессы? Вопрос от Ирины Зайченко.
A question from Irina Zaychenko. How accurate your digital twins are? How do they reflect real business processes? Thank you.
В целом, мы обладаем возможностью создать цифровой двойник какой угодно точности. Вопрос в трудозатратах и в этой необходимости. То есть цифровые двойники могут создаваться как для принятия стратегических решений, и тогда детальное приближение к реальным бизнес-процессам в нем нет такой необходимости, как в случаях систем доставки. А в случаях систем хранения, где важен каждый сантиметр, каждый метр площади, здесь точность гораздо ближе, и расчеты, конечно, куда детальнее. То есть по нашим моделям, по системам хранения делаются проекты, инженерные проекты будущих складских мощностей. Здесь, конечно, точность совершенно другая.
In general, we can create a digital twin of whatever accuracy you need. The question is about whether it's needed or not. For example, if we talk about storage systems, every meter is important there, so we create quite accurate models.
Thank you. And the second question. Какова точность цифровой модели и каков доверительный интервал? Сколько показателей максимально используется для цифровых двойников, которые вы делали? Вопрос от Натальи Алексеевой.
A question from Natalia Alexeyeva. What's the accuracy of your digital models? What is the confidence interval? How many factors, indicators do you use in digital twins that you've done already?
В моем понимании этот вопрос во многом повторяет предыдущий. Мы не высчитываем конкретного доверительного интервала. уже сказал, все во главу угла ставится задача, которую должен решить этот цифровой двойник. При этом количество показателей также не ограничено, которые мы анализируем. То есть это может быть просто номенклатура и грузопоток, а может быть вплоть до прогноза температуры, толщины льда и других факторов, которые влияют на логистику в труднодоступных регионах нашей страны.
As I've already mentioned, we create the digital twins to meet the needs of the project. So we do not calculate the confidence interval, and the number of indicators we analyze also vary. It is not limited. It depends on the aims of the project. Sometimes we even we take into account the weather or the thickness of ice in some remote parts of Russia.
Thank you. And the last question from Шабан Антон. Добрый день, спасибо за интересную презентацию. Игорь, расскажите, пожалуйста, поподробнее, как проходит корректировка и настройка цифровых двойников цепей поставок, с помощью каких инструментов или датчиков.
And the last question from Anton Shabanov. Good afternoon. Thank you for your interesting presentation. Igor, please tell us how do you adjust the digital twins of supply chains? What instruments, what tools, and what tools do you use?
В случае с системами доставки, поскольку это более стратегический инструмент, мы проводим в среднем ежегодную актуализацию модели на основании новых данных, поскольку система доставки обычно моделируется на срок от 5 до 10 лет вперед, то есть более часто это делать обычно не приходится.
Usually we calibrate our models not very often because they are calculated for from 5 to 10 years ahead, and you do not adjust it that often.
Но в случае складских систем мы регулярно сверяемся с данными из ERP и VMS систем для корректировки ключевых параметров модели, таких как номенклатура, оборачиваемость запасов и в целом объем грузооборота.
But when it comes to storage systems, we always adjust the model using the current data to adjust to get the correct information on key indicators.
Thank you so much, Igor, for your very interesting presentation and your interesting answers to our questions. We hope that we can collaborate in future, and maybe you will have a wish to participate in our future conferences. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Igor. The next presentation is from Professor Peter Schur from Twente University of Netherlands. Peter, hello. I'm very glad to see you. Very glad to see you. Yeah. Thank you so much for your participation. Yeah. And I was impressed by your presentation when previous event when you participated together, and hope your now presentation will be also very interested. Please do it. Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah.
Okay, let me upload it. So I hope you can see it. With this trusting Zoom, as you can see, our presentation, let me make it a bit larger. is about agent-based innovations in ports, for instance. The work was done some years ago by Albert Dalma and by Betty Gerrits. So what's it all about? Well, we first tried to introduce the concept of intelligent agents. What are they? What kind of properties do they have? Secondly, the second part of the presentation will be an application. And we'll do that in the port of Rotterdam. I was very much impressed by the talks of Carlos and Natalia about the smart port of Hamburg. Yeah, that's really great. And we hope to have that too in our country. It would be nice. Okay, so part one, the concept of intelligent agents. You could ask yourself, agents, what are they and when are they applicable? And what do they add to, in general, supply chain management? Well, an agent in general, you can think of a traditional principal-agent relation. You have some big building with all kinds of principals, and there's the agents, and the agent goes out and is acting in the name of the principal, this big firm, the big firm he is serving. And so a software agent is analogous to that. It's analogous to the principal-agent relation. It's just a piece of software you can attach everywhere. And intelligent agents have the following properties. They are autonomous, they are reactive, proactive, and socially scaled. We'll see how this all works. So then more precisely, an agent is a computer system capable of flexible and independent autonomous actions on behalf of its user or owner. And again, that user or owner may be very broadly defined. What is flexible? Well, it's reactive, meaning responding to changes in the environment. It's proactive, meaning taking initiatives, recognizing opportunities. And social, is interacting with humans or other agents. So if you look what independent is kind of figuring out what needs to be done to satisfy design objectives. So that's more than constantly being told. It can take initiatives, which is very important property. You see here a multi-agent system, which is a platform. You see the background principles, but really in the center are the agents, which are representing these principles. And they can do all kind of things together. They can talk, they can discuss, they can negotiate. That's, of course, you may have seen before, but that's the idea of a multi-agent platform. So a multi-agent system is then a system consisting of a number of agents interacting with one another on behalf of users with different goals and different motivations. Well, yeah, okay, all that can be nice, but they have to successfully interact. So they require all these abilities of being able to cooperate, to coordinate, and to negotiate with each other, much as real people are doing. Where does it come from? Well, it's more or less inspired by the world of the animals. You see here a nice ant, very tiny animal. And somewhere in the Bible you have the saying, "Go to the ant, you sluggard, consider its ways and be wise." Well, academic science took that into consideration, and they say, hey, what can we learn from these tiny animals, from ants? Well, some observations. There is no central control within the community of ants, and there is very little mutual communication. They hardly talk to each other. They make decentral decisions, so there's no boss commanding them. And very important, the single ant has little power, also little brain power, only a few brain cells. That is very interesting to know, realizing that they're able to build huge anthills. And these anthills are fascinating. They have all kinds of divisions. For instance, there's a special cemetery for those ants that have deceased, but this is incredible, and to be honest, it's still not understood. But we can try to imitate what these little animals do and see what we can benefit from that. So each ant has its own goal. It has a limited domain knowledge. There's incomplete and uncertain information about the tasks, about the surrounding, etc., about the common goal. The ant has no idea. So a very bounded rationality. It has the ability to take decisions in real time. So it can walk, it can take a leaf and bring that to a certain central place, all these things. But in general, it has limited capabilities. And yet, they're able to organize themselves efficiently. This is a miracle, really a miracle. And we can only try as humans to get close to this. So, the bottom line, a group of distributed decision makers is capable of realizing a form of optimization. And then, the multi-agent system is a computer system that is capable of independent, autonomous action on behalf of its users and owners. You see here some agents. There can be an agent connected to a container or to an airplane or to a truck or to whatever, even to a pallet. All these things can have agents. And in the sequel, we'll see agents associated with ships, so-called barges, agents associated with terminals. All these things are there. To give a very simple example of a multi-agent system, that is collaborative road transport. Suppose there's a load agent, again, acting in the name of a principle, who's offering a load. So let's say 10 pallets have to go from A to B. That is offered by the load agent to an auction. Then there's truck agent A, as well as truck agent B, and they have in their realm two trucks, truck A for agent A, truck B for agent B, and they see on this auction and say, hey, let me offer, we can do it for so and so many euros. Okay, then in return, the load agent is considering which of these two to take. It can be financial or other considerations. And finally, he will make a decision, and the winner is having the load. Very simple example of how an agent can work. So in between, there is this platform called auction, which let them negotiate. So the concept is, what are they? Well, I tried to tell more or less. When are they applicable, and what do they add to supply chain management? That is, we try to postpone the answer to questions 2 and 3 until we have seen some application, and that will be part 2. And it's about, as you can see, the port of Rotterdam. You see the whole action depicted already. You see at one side there are terminals and our barges coming in, and of course barges come from everywhere. And you can see in this picture where they are coming from. They may be coming from the Rhine area, coming from the Ruhrgebiet, and they come into that port area. Terminals are everywhere, 30 of them, and these barges have to visit 1, 2, 3, 4 of these terminals, either to load, to unload containers, or to unload containers. So the heat-lamp connections are manifold, and the barges are coming from all sides. Mostly, of course, like as I said, from Ruhrgebiet, but also they can come from Antwerp, Belgium, whatever. Also from the northern part of Holland, you can come everywhere from. So it can be a lot of fuss there. It can be a lot of barges waiting for each other. When we started this research, then we didn't have COVID, of course. We had a lot of traffic, and it was not so easy for these barges. They had to wait a very long time. So, looking at this problem, there are a lot of people which are involved. So we can distinguish stakeholders as the port authority. So barges, they see it as a modality, and they see they are getting too costly, they're getting too time-consuming, and they are really unreliable. There's the terminal, so the quays are not used efficiently, and there are the ships, the barges, that leave the port too late according to their sailing schedule. These things were problematic some years ago, and we were hired into trying to find a solution for this. A very important thing is that terminals are competing with each other. And this is just something what also Carlos said, that makes them a bit hesitant of sharing information, and that's really a big problem. So how to solve all this? There's a lot of conflict stuff around. So there are these complicating and restricting factors. There's autonomy, so the players want to stay in control of their own operations, of their own data. There's a limited information sharing. Players are really, competitors are very reluctant to share information. And there is no contractual relationship. So no performance can be enforced upon either the barges or the terminals. You can try to solve the problem in two ways, basically, centralized or decentralized. If you get centralized, it's requiring a central party, a central trusted party, coordinating all activities. And of course, it has to share the gains that can be done. Of course, there are problems, so the players are not always willing to share information, and the gain sharing is still a difficult issue. The other side of the spectrum is the decentralized control, requiring distributed decision makers and facilitating mechanisms that enable us to do our agent game, and implicit gain sharing, which can be done in all kinds of ways, blockchain or all kinds of virtual currencies. So there are a lot of problems. Also, the quality of the coordination is never guaranteed. So you must always be careful that there might be many manipulations, there might be concussions of agents and all that. So there might be also deadlocks, so that the system is completely blocked. So there are a lot of problems to be solved. And we have to regulate them, and especially the behavior of the players. What was the aim of our study? Well, we wanted to develop a multi-agent-based solution, enabling real-time decision-making, and also it would give optimization of the operations of a specific actor. So for that purpose, we have to create a solution that is hopefully optimal, but at least near optimal, optimizing an actor's operations, and acceptable, which is very important, and which we must be honest, is not really accomplished by us. So an actor is willing to accept the solution. That's very important. So again, the Port of Rotterdam, barges, for instance, are coming from the Ruhrgebiet, coming in, and you see there are 3 regions containers can be found. It can be in the city, can be in Botlek, or it can be in Maasvlakte, and all in all, there are about 30 containers in 3 clusters. Okay, what happens then? Well, the larger terminals are open 24 hours a day, they have large volumes, but there are also smaller ones in the city which have very much restricted opening times. That is really a problem. If you are too late at the barge, you have to wait and you have to sleep one more night and see what happens. So you can see that a barge coming in, and a red line is, well, illustrating the barge. And why is it red? Well, this could be kind of tour which is really requiring a lot of waiting. This is not nice, and nobody's happy. The barge is waiting for hours, and because they don't go for anchor, they are just moving around. And in general, a barge is wasting 30% of its fuel in the harbor, so it's very bad in the old situation. So suppose we could have a better route like this one, the green one. So how to find that? Well, then we have to be informed a little bit about the waiting options. If we know beforehand, what about the waiting, let's say in 2 hours from now, then we can adjust our schedule knowing those waiting times. That can be accomplished by our model, as we will show. The current situation is very chaotic. There is a guy, barge operator, he's not even a computer, but he's calling the terminal operator and can I get in at 2? And the terminal operator says, yeah, no problem, just get in at 4. These kind of communication errors are there, and it's very confusing. There's limited information exchange, and there's intense human communication. What we propose is a multi-agent based solution. Then there are agents representing the terminals, and there are agents representing the barges. And they make appointments, and they can do that in a nice way. Using platforms, they can communicate. That is the same as before, but now without the confusion. So they send the data around and they come to some agreement. Again, it's never guaranteed that it's the optimal one, but at least it's fast. And in the end, you'll see that it will work. We'll show that in simulation. So an agent again is a piece of software, and it's company specific. In this case, there are barge agents and there are terminal agents. What is the trick? What is the trick? Well, we think the following will work. And this is heavily connected, of course, with data to being informed. That's what Carlos told us. If we have this nice system, knowing where every barge is, where every ship is, then it will be great. Yeah, and we can use this information too. But we still need control. Yeah, and control. And the control we suppose is the following. Suppose the barge is coming from the Ruhrgebiet again to Rotterdam. And half an hour before entering the port, he says, hey, I'm here. And not he is saying that, no, the agent is saying that. The barge operator agent is saying, hey, here I am. He says that to all the terminals he should visit for either loading or unloading containers. In this case, in a simple example, 3 terminal operators he has to visit. So he says to them, hey, I'm here at this point, still half an hour, and I'll reach the city conglomerate of terminals. Then in return, the agent of the terminal hands over to the barge agent a time frame, so-called service time profile, indicating, well, if you, for instance, arrive at 6 o'clock in the evening, you don't have to wait. If you arrive at 12, you have to wait so and so long. So it tells the barge agent exactly hours of waiting, minutes of waiting, whatever, corresponding to a certain arrival time. So now the barge agent knows, oh, if I arrive at that moment, I have to wait so and so long. That's done by operator 1, the same for operator 2, the same for 3. Well, having obtained that information, the barge operator starts to calculate. Can I make a traveling salesman tour such that my waiting time will be minimal? Well, that's not so difficult because there are very few so-called cities to visit, so he can do that. And then he says, okay, great, now I know the optimal tour for me, and now I pass on to the agents of the terminals the arrival time I would like to have. And they live happily forever after, I would say. But that's roughly the idea. And it is a idea of which you are perhaps saying, well, will that work? Well, we had extensive simulation with yearly data of several years. And, well, you see here the present situation. There's some handling, there's some sailing, but there's a lot of waiting, as you can see. What will happen if we introduce our multi-agent system? Well, there's still a lot of some handling, of course, and sailing is still necessary, but the waiting is reduced considerably. In our simulation, it was reduced by 60%. So it's really a real successful implementation, working with real data and working and get a really complicated model which imitates the present situation. We did that with all kind of look-ahead strategies. It took us half a year to get there, but then we compared it to the simulation. What would be happening if these agents were really talking together? And this is what we found. So it was a huge improvement. Of course, then we had to negotiate with the Port of Rotterdam, and well, you could see how sensitive this is, because at that time, I don't know how it is now, it's some years ago. At that time, the Port of Rotterdam said, "Oh, come on, this agent system, we will lose control. We don't want to lose control. They want to be in charge." So they said, "No, we don't do decentral control. We like central control." Okay, that was for us, of course, not so nice to hear, and we still hope that they change their opinion about this. On the other hand, we made several other models in which we use the density. We can do more or less, and that is exactly what comes to. We can have these data in our model, and we can know them beforehand. Oh, I know how busy it is with all these terminal locations. So it's still applicable without even the concept of these service windows. So some conclusions. The implementation of multi-agent system was resulting in higher efficiency and better service quality. So, hey, buy me an agent? Well, agents are not that simple, of course. The design process of the agent is essential for this success. So what architecture are you building? And that's not so obvious. So getting back to part one, the concept. Well, when are agents applicable and what do they add to supply chain management? Well, the first thing we have to ask ourselves is central coordination outdated? Well, not really. When is it decentral coordination? When is decentral coordination an alternative? Well, first of all, in dynamic environments such as the port. Then, when central coordination is too complex, again, in the port we see it's still too complex, so it would be a good argument to go decentral. Also, when it's hard to match conflicting interests, well, it's the same. You have all these 30 terminals quarreling, so it's a great opportunity. Also, when actors are reluctant to share information, this is also the case here, and when there are no transport mechanisms to divide profits and losses. No transparent mechanism, I should say. But transparent mechanisms, as we all know from the conference of last year, blockchain is a great way of doing so, and it can easily be combined with agent technology. So it's also an alternative when actors want to keep control over their operations. They do not have to share information. It's all in between these agents, and will never leave that system between those agents involved. It's not general, it's not shared with all people. So, and it's also important when robustness is essential. You have no single point of failure in this case, which is the case now. If the central coordination fails, for whatever reason, if you just have a terrorist attack on the central control mechanism, then it's gone. And of course, that will not be the case with they can move on a long time without any trouble. So And also for a modular system, the modules require separate testing. You can test these models one by one, and you can easily apply them then in a multi-agent system. Finally, it is interesting in a lowly structured and loosely coupled network, which again is indeed the port. So what do agents in general add to supply chain management? Well, they add value by preventing actors in the supply chain from being self-focused. They really have to take care of the co-workers. By enhancing supply chain mindedness, they add value by enabling the actors to negotiate in a fair way, and they realize fast and accurate information exchange. Furthermore, they react quickly on unexpected opportunities, which is impossible to do that centrally, because you need local information. If there has been collision, for instance, between two barges or whatever, you have to react quickly. That cannot never be done centrally. And you have to support online decision making. That is very important. That is the added value. It's online, very quickly done. Don't need large databases or whatever. And then the added value is you make use of the local knowledge, you know, what the barge is seeing, you know, what's happening there. And suppose the terminal knows, hey, something is happening, I have an off day or whatever, then it can be communicated quickly to the barges that they know, oh, don't go to my, in this case, I have a really reconstruction or whatever, so take some afternoon off because we need that time to install. And it can defend the interest of each actor. So in that way, it's preserving the confidentiality of these same actors, and it's preserving the integrity of each actor. This was the port system in terms of reducing waiting times. We did more stuff. So we called this whole system, we called it planning a part together. It's so funny. Of course, you know where it's hinting at. So some examples of planning a part together is the short sea liquid bulk, reducing the port journey time also, improving efficiency of the terminal. There was the project of collaborating with logistic service providers, so reducing empty kilometers, improving sustainability and less damaged infrastructure. And finally, there was the use of port rail, enlarging throughput, better use of infrastructure, and better performance of the terminals. These were, well, just some more examples. Of course, recent years we did a lot of agent systems for instance, mixing humans and AGVs on stackyards. We did some presentations on the Winter Sim conference about that. So if you have any questions, don't hesitate. I'll be happy to answer them. And thank you a lot for your attention and also for this occasion to share our enthusiasm with you. Thank you.
Yeah, Peter, thank you so much for your very interesting presentation. And Roman will ask a question from the chat.
Okay, should I stop sharing?
Yeah. Hello, Peter. So we've got one question from Alisa, and she will ask by herself.
Okay.
Yes, hello, sir.
Hello.
Thank you for your presentation, and I would like to ask, as you are more or less specialist also in our Russian system, as you have been visiting Russia and you have been taking part in our previous conference also, I would like to ask, what do you think about the chance of tailoring such kind of systems in our Russian ports? Do you think it's possible, or what are your thoughts about this?
Certainly, I think there are many opportunities. We have the fortune to have given a course, like yesterday evening we gave that course with Russian students from the Peach Integrated University. And also there we try to to see what multi-agent systems can do. For instance, for last mile deliveries, etc. So, of course, we have respective examples. Suppose you take restaurants in St. Petersburg who want to have seafood. How can you, in an efficient way, get that seafood very quickly and very efficiently from the sea to the table of the customer? Well, there's a lot of logistics involved, and there's also the harbor component, of course. And I think, yeah, it is depending, of course, you cannot put a one-to-one or model there, but this idea of having these, let's say, time windows that you know, oh, when I arrive then I have to wait so long, yeah, it is universal. You can use that everywhere.
Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.
Okay, Peter, thank you so much.
Could I ask a question?
Yes, of course.
Yeah, hello, Peter. My name is Ilya. I want to ask a question. Is there a possibility, an easy possibility to switch back for manual control from this agent? For example, the situation has changed and you have to make some manual decisions, let's say. How easy would it be to get back to manual decision making and manual adjustments, let's say?
That's a very good question, also a very general question. And it's not so easy, to be honest. It's not so easy because you really get accustomed to the system. Well, you can see the same as in a warehouse. Suppose you have an automated system putting stuff in the ASR system. And then if all of a sudden, hey, we should go back to manual, you have to climb into these racks and all that. So it is difficult in general, yes. And if you are afraid for that, then you should always install a backup manual system in order to be sure that you can do that. So that's really true. You shouldn't give 100% all of your hands. Because it's really, yeah, the agent system is not so easy to be reversed. That's true. But that's why you do segmentation. You always let some space there open, of course. In the terminal case, it could be all kind of operations which suddenly require human intervention. So it can always be done. And in fact, the agent is also acting, well, let's say, to replace the principal. So you are, in the end, you are in control, but it would make a lot of problems if you would, they would have to pick up the phone, hey, and call all these terminals, tell me what is the time frame, blah, blah, etc. It can be done, but it will be cumbersome, yeah. Because also people are getting accustomed to the easiness of having agents. Very good question, yeah. Think about that.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you so much. So now we have coffee break, online coffee break. Unfortunately, yeah. We planned to put for coffee break 15 minutes, but we have something delayed in time. Maybe we will continue in 15 minutes. Wolfgang, are you here?
Yes, I'm here.
Yeah, nice to see you.
Oh, no problem.
Is it a problem if we will continue in 15? It's okay?
In 15 minutes, so that's 10:50 in Hamburg and 12:50 in St. Petersburg, right?
Yeah, Wolfgang, thanks so much, and we will continue in 15 minutes. Thank you for understanding the situation. Yeah. So in 15 minutes we will meet. Thank you so much.
Okay, see you then.
See you then, okay.
Сейчас, да, сейчас я приду.